Hey, welcome everyone. Good morning. We got Cardo W. Jr. here, Wilson Tarpey Jr. and the Washington Mystics late night action. Again, all three games this week, 10 p.m. start times. But Washington got off to kind of a slow start last night. Sometimes it's hard to beat teams three times. I said Washington kind of got in their way a little bit. But Georgia Amore, you see what's on the bottom of the screen. Amore's career high pushes the Mystics past the Mercury Eights last night as they rallied from I think it was 13 down um, to beat the Phoenix Mercury. Kalia Copper, hell of a night. She accomplished something special on the Mercury side of things. She was the fastest to 1,000 points in Mercury history, and she became the fastest to 2,000 points last night. And she did it in 103 games. Diana Taurasi and Cappy Poindexter got there in 104 games. Anytime you do anything and those two guards are on the list, you did something that's worth talking about. So congratulations to Kalia Copper for that. But Cardell, your thoughts on last night in Washington, rallying and then holding off the Mercury late?
Yeah, it was a grinded out type of game. You know what I mean? And we kind of expected that. The Mercury are obviously out of the playoffs and had nothing to play for, but it's still professionals playing for their professional livelihood, and they had pride, and you saw that with Kalia Copper's performance, man. I mean, she's 15 in the first quarter, and she didn't really get stopped until the fourth. You know what I mean? She put all types of pressure on the Mystics to have to play, and you could just tell that the Mystics came in there like, all right, we already beat y'all. We should be able to do it again. They came out flat, and you can't do that. Even though they're not in the playoffs, they're still fighting for something. You know what I mean? And they fought. And Copper is a professional. We covered Copper since her rookie year when she was with the Mystics. You know what I mean? And she was still young, still raw, but supremely athletic, tough, competitive. We knew that's always going to be in her game. And then once she got more polished, she became an all-star, became one of the best players in the league because of the athleticism and toughness and competitive nature that she has, man. So if you don't come to play against her every game, it can be bad. And that's what you saw last night. She torched the Mystics. You know what I mean? And a lot of her shots came off a lot of screens, a lot of pin downs, a lot of curls, just testing the Mystics' chemistry defensively and their energy. And with their lack of energy, and they have chemistry, but when you don't have the energy, players not going to be where they need to go. You know what I mean? And once that happens a few times and a player makes some pay like Hopper did, then distrust can happen quickly. You know what I mean? And that's what you saw. The next thing you know, it trickles over to the offensive side of the ball, and that's where the sloppy turnovers came. And that's how Phoenix were able to stay in both of these games and make it more competitive than it should have been record-wise. And with the injuries that the Mercury had, they took advantage of getting out and outrunning the Mystics, which shouldn't happen because Mystics are the youngest team in the league and they have athleticism and size. That shouldn't be the case. Look, the Mystics had 17 turnovers. Phoenix scored 22 points off those turnovers. But fast break points is where they killed them once again, 18-9. And most of them were just steals and just literally dribbling and out running the Mystics who were jogging while they're sprinting with the basketball and laying it up. And those points came back to haunt them. And especially the third, the third where the Mercury took the lead, so to speak. Fast break points 8-2. Turnovers, Mystics 6. Phoenix scored 7 points in that quarter. They only scored 20 points in the third quarter. So the Mystics, what we did a pregame, like the Mystics cannot help this team beat them. If you play fundamentally sound defense, you execute on offense, they don't have enough firepower to beat you. Even with Copper saying, let's say they did that and she still had her 35, they still would have beat them decisively because no one else could really sum up anything. Even Alyssa Thomas had a rough night, you know what I mean? But with Copper carrying the offense, her being an all-time great vet that she is, she focused on other things, rebounding and assists, which is what she does in her sleep. And so that made the game, more competitive and everything because she didn't try to disrupt Copper's rhythm, man. And yeah, Copper was on one. I said she had 15 in the first. She had 10 in the third. And then Copper had 7 in the second quarter. Now, the fourth quarters where the Mystics looked like the Mystics. And Kiki was a steady steady deal offensively, and then Georgia exploded in the fourth. You know what I mean? And 16 points, 6 of 6 from the field, 3 of 3 from deep, and they need every bit of it to come back and win that game. She was 100 in that fourth quarter. This is what you saw in this game from Georgia is what we saw of her at Kentucky. Maybe not the efficiency, but just being able to knock down shots, get in the mid range, get by defenders, play make, be a crafty finisher, be solid defensively. That's what we saw at Kentucky. Obviously, the ACL injury delayed that as she's playing her first year of active basketball in the WNBA, trying to figure things out. And, it's been some growing pains. She had to figure it out. But I'll say over the last few weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, it's been like a solid, steady, like 9-3-3 type of deal. And it's been steady. So you knew she was coming along. And then this was the explosion we kind of had. Forget us. I know she was waiting on. Where she know, like, okay, yeah, I can rumble with y'all. Yeah, and I don't want to hear nothing about the Mercury and, the record or whatnot. The Mystics needed all of that. They were about to lose. And that would have been devastating because they would have fell to 8th. You know what I mean? And they're in the playoffs. Yes, great accomplishment. But seeding matters. And you want to win as many games as possible, especially for a young team or whatnot. So the competitive nature we saw, not just from the team, because I love what Betty and Lainey Hamilton did with Copper, slowing her down. Obviously, the English played a part, but she got up in her, made it more tough. Where Copper, who's on fire, only scored 3 points, and that was from the free throw line. She didn't hit a field goal, and a lot of that was Lainey Hamilton. You know what I'm saying? And in that, well, I'm looking at it now. In that quarter, she was a plus 11. She only scored 2 points. She didn't even hit a field goal. That was because of her defense. You know what I mean? And not making any mistakes. She also had 2 assists, which Georgia, just get the ball to Georgia. Man, she delivered, man. I'm so happy for her, man, because it's tough overcoming a major injury like that. And you got to play point guard. And then in the WNBA, that's ultra physical and you small in stature. Yeah, man, they it's tough. But she's shown she's as tough as they come. Because even though she had an up and down season, I haven't once questioned, like, is she lacking confidence? Did she get down on herself? Did she check out? She still came back and just played, you know what I mean? And that's what you got to do. You got to keep going. And eventually the tide will turn. And over the last, it was kind of bad at the beginning. Then we started seeing flashes up and down. And then like over the last few weeks, it's been solid. Like I said, 9 points, 3, just setting the table, getting hers within the flow of the offense, being more solid defensively. And then now this happened. And, how I've always felt if she's doing this, not like at this level, obviously this is an anomaly. I mean, I know the missus would take it if she can average this. Hell, what team wouldn't? But she's doing this. Just 10 to 15 points. She's shooting efficiently, setting the table, not turning the ball over. The Mystics are a totally different team, and it's a problem because now it's like with their star 5, who do you attack? You know what I mean? Like, even though you can say the 3, fine. On your worry, if she having all night, you still got to do with Lainey Hamilton or Cody come in. You see what I'm saying? It's still depth there where by committee, they can still match what the others bring individually. And that's a problem. The only thing the Mystics got to continue to do is just add experience and, especially postseason experience. And then they would know how to do even more damage. So it's getting scary. But I'm happy for Georgia because without her performance, they don't win this game, man. And just the confidence to get it done. And in the circumstances of her getting it done, with them being down on the road, Copper torching everything in sight, like nothing stopped her. They even got some fans out the stands to try to guard her. It didn't matter. You see what I'm saying? And she stayed poised and hit big shot after big shot, some on with tough shots. I mean, she catching that thing going up in her shot and Mercury right there jumping already in there and it don't even touch around. So big shout out to her, man. You know what I mean? Just a hell of a game, man. And these are character building wins because it was ugly for both sides. But the young Mystics figured out how to pull out a win, being under a lot of pressure from Copper and a lot of their top players not having their usual type of games where others had to step up. And Georgia stepped up in a big way. Lainey Hamilton stepped up defensively in a big way, and that's why they were able to pull this out.
Yeah, and to go with the Georgia thing, we've been, I think all 3 of us at different times. The box score hasn't always showed it. we've all kind of shouted her out for moments where we've seen her taking those, like you said, the little steps. It happened like back when you did the probe, I think is when we kind of started seeing her start to like the baby steps towards it. And you did the probe, what was that, like 3 games before All-Star break, I want to say? If we go back, like something like that, 3 to 5 games before All-Star break. And we started to seeing her go from like almost while she was kind of getting for most of the year, it's been full facilitator mode. And we've been seeing her little by little kind of get into just her being her here and there, little by little. I know for me, one of the things kept, I don't know, I'm sure y'all sick of me mentioning it every once in a while, just her getting to we went from, hey, she's not turning the corner yet. How that affects the spacing on the floor, things of that nature. Little by little, we've seen her turn in the corner. Getting into the paint, being willing to stick her head in there little by little, because again, physically for a smaller guard, it's not like she's lacking physically. She's well put together. It's just like you said, mentally getting over I'm not thinking about it before I go stick my nose in there. And last night we kind of saw a bunch of it, even on defense. I think it was only like 2 steals, but just really active and digging down with a lot more intent on that end of the floor. Like you said, they just need her to hold up. You don't need to be first team all defense out here. Just hold up. You got a lot of help out there. But we saw Phoenix after Tuesday night. What's the strength of the Mystics? It's inside. Her defender kept going inside to dig down and help. And she literally made them pay for it all night long. And as you said, Washington needed every bit of it because they didn't get the normal production from their big 3. Kiki was Kiki, and that's about it. But I think this is one of the ones where I was like, all right, that's like that looked like Kentucky when I think this play right here out of their hezzy, you know what I'm saying? That looked like
that's
her.
Kentucky. That right there.
Yep.
Even the other hesitation on the left side of the lane, she and froze all 3 defenders, got by him, left hand lane, all of that. Yeah, that's Kentucky, Georgia.
And we've been seeing little glimpses, but like those 2 drives, the one you were mentioning, I know it's in this longer one, but man, that's when I was like, okay, she's comfortable. Like finally, like we'll see if she's all the way past it. Like you said, we are not saying she's about to average 20 the rest of the way. We're simply saying if she can make teams pay for kind of leaving her alone to help the horses that they have inside, like it changes the math on the floor offensively. Like she made them pay for the attention they paid to Sonya last night. She made them pay for the attention when that ball got down into Shakira at times. Almost all these clips, we see her defender leaving to go help, and she was scorched earth last night on it. Because you get back to her and she's making you pay. But hell of a night. They needed every bit of it. And like you said, it was good to see her. Even when she was facilitating, she was still there mentally. She stayed in it all year through the ups and downs and everything. So, yeah, that's a hell of a payoff. Credit to her. And, again, no, none of us is saying she's about to average, 18, 19, 20, whatever. But we are simply saying if she's starts to look like her, again from Virginia Tech, that change you got to think a little bit harder about how you play defense against the Mystics, which goes a long way for everybody else. Because that was somebody of the 3 of them that draft class. I know it's hard to look back because we've seen 2 years of Kiki and Sonya in the W. But going back to college, Georgia was the one that was scoring like that at that rate in college. And again, that's not knocking the other 2. It's just going back, just a little bit of hindsight. Like this is why someone was just like, "Hey, be patient, be patient, be patient," so we can see if that was still in there. It was 1 game, but they needed it, and like you said, shout out to her. But player of the game for you,
Jordan. Simple.
Yep.
That was easy.
Xfactor.
Betting just Laney Hamilton. I'm going with her, even though Kiki had a monster double. I expect that from Kiki. She an all-star. But Laney Hamilton, 6, 7, and 5, 6 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, 2 of 4 shooting. But her defense on Copper in the 4th quarter, that's what really helped them win the game, because Copper was very willing to go shot for shot with Georgia to win this game. She's been doing it all game, so she was right there. But Laney Hamilton made her work, and then eventually, late in the quarter, she messed up her ankle, but the damage had already been done. So from Lane Hampton. So definitely her production off the bench was huge. Because without it, they don't win.
Yeah, and I think that was a what she did last night was a great example of why we were all excited when they signed her, when they got her off waivers, because you don't win that game if you didn't make that acquisition last night. It doesn't happen. It's just, hey, Georgia had a great game and Kai had 40 plus. I'm just gonna call it what it is. The other wings, Mick and Cody didn't have great nights on that end. And sometimes, hey man, Kai's Kai. Like some folks are really hard to stop. And again, that's why you have value in veteran defenders, because they've seen everything already. Benaj and Laney Hamilton's been in the league long enough to have a book on some of these elite scorers on the wing where everybody might not have answers. They got different reference points, but yeah, they don't win that game without her last night. And again, that was the front end of a back-to-back. So it's great that they won. I mentioned during pregame before we wrapped up about the Valkyries giving them a gift by knocking off the Liberty. And that, because Washington won, that did in fact happen. Like you said, Washington's in 6th. Dallas is in 7th. New York is in 8th, which means Washington has another game tonight against the Sparks, which they can't afford to lose because of how, you mentioned a couple weeks ago, how tight that race is, from like 3 down in the standings. So it's really nip tucked there. We'll see how things go. And we'll talk to y'all this evening for Mystics pregame, but I think we have a comment, so let's go ahead and get that. Area 11T, the one version of Georgia people ain't want to see made its appearance, and right before the playoffs.
Absolutely. Great timing, but it's just her trusting her leg, man. It takes time. One thing athletes know, you know your body, bro. You know when it's like it ain't right. It ain't right because you feeling good. That's when you really go in. And she, you even early in the season, man, you could tell she was dragging that leg. You could just see it. She's trying to get confident. She's starting to get confident that her leg is responding. You can see that burst, like even at the the hesitation, bring the wrap over, over the defender and went into the finger roll, whatnot. That was off her right leg. She wouldn't even try that early in the season. She would just dribbled up, brought it back out, try to run something or past it. But she's being more aggressive because she trusts that leg with the burst. And that's a great sign, man. And just got to keep it going, man. Keep doing what she's doing, the treatment, the steady rehabilitation, the strengthening, whatever they've been doing behind the scenes. Just keep doing it. Ice baths, ice, extra rest. Just keep doing it, man. Because like I said, if she can reach kind of make that leap to reach her potential and kind of be on, the progression that Kiki, Sonya, the rest of the drag players was with the Mystics, it's going to get scary. It's going to be scary. So, and then that changes everything as far as drafting, because then it's like we got our point guard, now what?
It really changed that part of it, because now you can go in there and, Maddie Booker wouldn't be a bad thing on the wing or something if you want to add. But again, you just have a lot of options. Now you're not pigeonholed in anything. And to piggyback off everything like you were talking about with her leg, I think another area you can see it, the jumper. The jumper.
Yeah, you're not off balance. It's not, you more in sync, man. Where you just focus on following through and knocking it down instead of like, it's my leg,
Right.
It's that mental hurdle that comes, and I've had multiple leg injuries. Yeah, it's a hurdle. You go from you don't even think about stuff to like, your body has it. I don't even know if I want to jump because I don't want to feel that pain to go back through this process again. So, it's tough. But even with the draft, man, look, we ain't in a nice business. Still get her dog over and Juju if you're in that position to still get them, and just be that much more talented. We'll figure out the rest, dog.
There's nothing but good problems right there. Nothing but great problems. But they're in LA tonight to take on the Sparks. And again, we'll see y'all this evening about 9:30 for pregame and whatnot. So y'all enjoy the rest of your day. Until then.